Alright, wanted to talk to you real briefly about how to mix up an ideal mix for container gardening. In my opinion, it should contain about a half a dozen things. Probably 80% of it is going to be, this is some that's developed a bit, but 80% of it's going to be peat moss or coconut fiber core. And then you're going to have perlite. I use about 3 to 4 parts peat moss or core to 1 part of perlite. And then you want also about 1 part of charcoal, clean. They make clean hardwood charcoal, broken up into pieces that are about smaller than an inch, and all of that mixed in thoroughly. And then you're going to want to add some mycorrhizal fungi, which I'm going to talk more about in a bit. And that creates an automatic healthy soil. The charcoal, the reason you use charcoal is they've discovered down in South America vast strips of land where the ancient people would, when they cut down part of the forest, would dig a great trench, fill it with all the debris that they cut down, cover the debris pile up, and burn it. And so it would create these vast fields, these vast strips of charcoal. And this charcoal, it turns out, in addition to sequestering CO2 in the ground for a long period of time, it serves to trap a lot of the minerals that otherwise would wash out of the soil. Like if you throw ashes, excuse me, or there's a fire, the ashes return a lot of minerals to the soil, but they're water soluble and disappear real quick, and charcoal binds those so that they don't flush out of the soil so quickly. And it also serves as an ideal environment for colonies of beneficial bacteria and beneficial fungi to grow in, and so it helps create a rich, healthy soil almost immediately. And the perlite we use for aeration because oxygen is as important to the roots of a plant as water is. Too much water and you drown the plant. So you want to have basically pockets of air and good air transportation as well as good drainage in a container garden. The soil, if you use regular soil, it gets compacted, it can't breathe, and plants do not do well in just plain old dirt. So if you're going to grow plants in a container, crops, and leave them in there for years, and want the soil to be nice and rich and healthy, this blend is the way to go. You'll want to add probably at least 1 part composted manure. So the final combination, the final blend, would be 3 parts peat moss or coconut fiber, 1 part perlite, 1 part charcoal, and 1 part composted manure, and then adding the mycorrhizal fungi inoculant, and there's some other things you can add to it to rich it up, but and throw in some earthworms. Excuse me. And those things together will give you an immediate healthy soil that your plants will do well in and will last for the long term. The soil will maintain its health. You let things like the leaves, pine needles here, decompose on the surface, and you'll end up with I let Irish moss or Corsican mint grow on the surface of my pots, my soil, if it volunteers. Anyway, you'll end up with this is wormy poo from worms that are in this pot, and this soil will persist as healthy probably indefinitely. This is like natural forest or natural wild soil that you can make yourself and put in containers. And this is what I use even in my raised beds. It's kind of expensive to fill a raised bed with this blend, but I know that I'm going to have rich, healthy soil here, and I don't have any contaminants that might be in the soil in the ground where I live, because you never know what the people who lived in the place you lived before did to the ground. Maybe they threw their oil when they did oil changes on the ground, or when I'm digging in the ground, planting stuff in the ground, I'm always finding pieces of plastic and debris. So I prefer container gardening and having control over the production of a healthy organic soil for my plants to live in.